Okay, let's dive right into it. We've got a stack of source material here sent in by you, our listener, and it's all revolving around these really fascinating ideas in Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
That's right. And our mission today really is to unpack the core concepts, the practical techniques, and yeah, some pretty bold promises laid out in these excerpts. We want to understand how the author suggests this often overlooked part of your mind holds the key to transforming your life.
And bold is definitely the word. I mean, the abstract alone promises things like experiencing miracles, finding answers to life's biggest questions,
Hmm.
lifting you out of confusion, misery, failure, even healing sickness, all by tapping into your subconscious mind. It's quite a claim.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? This idea of a tremendous hidden power within us, a force that's always operational, yet one we rarely consciously direct. This deep dive is about understanding how to shine a light on that power and actually, well, use it.
And central to using it, according to Murphy, is the idea that your habitual thinking isn't just background noise. It's actively molding, fashioning, creating your destiny. He jumps right into this fundamental concept that the mind isn't just one thing, but has two distinct levels.
Exactly. You have one mind, but it functions on two planes. The conscious mind, which he calls the objective mind, and the subconscious mind, the subjective mind.
Okay, so the conscious mind, that's like the captain of a ship, the navigator.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's the part that reasons, that uses your five senses to perceive the external world. It learns through observation, experience, education. It's the part making decisions, giving the commands.
And the subconscious, that's the crew then.
Pretty much. Its main job is to take the orders given by the conscious mind without questioning them. It's the seat of your emotions, incredibly creative. It's this vast storehouse of memory,
And it works even when we're asleep.
nonstop. The source material even mentions potential capacities like clairvoyance, clairaudience, and crucially, it's where your habits, the good ones and the bad ones, actually reside.
He uses this powerful analogy, the rich soil. That really stuck with me.
Ah, yes. Your subconscious mind is that fertile ground. It accepts any seed planted by the conscious mind, those seeds being your thoughts, whether they're healthy, life-giving thoughts or, toxic negative ones.
So whatever we consciously dwell on, the thoughts, the beliefs, the images, those are the seeds.
Exactly. They get impressed upon the subconscious, the soil. And then the subconscious, in its own way, works to bring that impression into reality. It expresses it as results in your physical body and your external environment that's the harvest.
The profound takeaway then is, if you don't like the harvest, you need to change the seeds. Change how you're using your conscious mind.
Precisely. Change how you use your conscious mind. Change the effect, the external conditions. It puts the power back in your hands, doesn't it?
It really does. So if the subconscious is just sort of blindly following orders, what's the core principle? What guides which orders it acts on most powerfully?
Well, the primary law it operates under is the law of belief. Simple as that. Whatever you truly impress upon your subconscious is what gets expressed in your life.
He doesn't just mean thinking it, though. He calls thought incipient action. What does that mean exactly?
It means thought is the beginning of action. It's the first step. And the subconscious mind's reaction corresponds directly to the nature of that thought. So if your habitual thoughts are filled with peace, health, abundance, that's the direction your subconscious will tend to express.
Okay, but here's where it got really interesting for me. He says prayers aren't answered based on things you just intellectually believe in. It's when the subconscious responds to a mental picture or thought with feeling. The feeling part seems vital.
That's the critical component, absolutely. The subconscious seems to respond most powerfully to feeling, and that's also why things can go wrong, you see.
How's that?
Well, if your conscious mind is constantly feeding your subconscious with fear, worry, anxiety, those thoughts generate negative emotions, those feelings. And these negative emotions are then released, interfering with the body's natural functions, manifesting as negative results or conditions in your life. Your anxiety isn't just a feeling, it's effectively an instruction.
Wow. Okay. So your worry isn't just unproductive, it's actively producing negativity. That's a powerful way to look at it.
It is.
So if our subconscious is taking orders based on thought plus feeling, how do we make sure we're consistently giving it the right orders, the positive ones? It sounds like this needs specific methods. It's not just automatic.
It absolutely does. Using this power effectively is presented as a skill set, something you learn, and the author outlines numerous techniques. It all starts, very simply, with identifying what you actually want. He states it clearly. Desire is prayer. Your deepest needs, your longings, that's the starting point.
Okay, step one, identify the desire. Then how do you get it from just wanting it to impressing it on the subconscious? He talks about scientific prayer.
Right. Scientific prayer is described as this harmonious interaction between your conscious and subconscious mind, directed precisely towards a specific purpose. It's about getting those two levels working together in sync towards a defined goal.
And one of the most sort of straightforward techniques he mentions for this is autosuggestion.
Yes, basically deliberately suggesting something definite and specific to yourself. The source material really emphasizes that this works best when repeated with feeling, especially when your body and mind are relaxed.
Like just before sleep or when you wake up.
Exactly. That physical relaxation seems to quiet the conscious mind, the captain, making the subconscious more receptive. He shares that example of the singer overcoming stage fright.
Right. By repeating, I sing beautifully, I am poised, serene, confident, and calm.
Several times a day, especially before sleep, and apparently within a week, her poise was completely transformed.
That makes intuitive sense,
Yeah.
Slipping the idea in when the captain isn't quite so alert. He gives other examples too, like affirmations from memory. My memory is improving. Or even changing a temper. I shall grow more good-humored.
It follows the same principle. Another technique, often for those moments of acute negative emotion, is what he calls speaking with authority.
This is where you directly address the fear or anxiety.
Yes, commanding those feelings that bubble up from the subconscious. Like that stage artist example, paralyzed by fear backstage.
And shouting internally, get out, the big me's gonna sing.
Exactly. It's a conscious act of commanding that deeper emotional mind, telling it, be still, be quiet, I am in control, you must obey me. The author suggests the effect is immediate. The fear subsides, harmony returns. It's like treating the negative emotion not as you, but as something you can dismiss.
Which connects right back to the idea that the subconscious takes orders. So you have to be incredibly mindful of the orders you're giving it, especially the negative ones. This must be where turning negatives into positives comes in.
This is a really crucial practical rule. The subconscious mind is literal. It follows instructions. So saying things like, oh, I can't afford that, or I'm too sick to, isn't just venting. You are, in essence, instructing your subconscious to create that reality of lack or limitation.
So the rule is, never finish a negative statement. Is that it?
Never finish it that way. Reverse it immediately. Don't say, I can't make the payment. Consciously, deliberately change it to, I will be prospered in all my ways. Don't say, I can't. Override it. I can do all things through the power of my own subconscious mind.
That takes conscious effort.
It does initially. He gives that really affecting example of the 75-year-old widow.
Right, using affirmations like, I am wanted, I am loved, I am happily married, repeatedly.
And attracting a companion, changing her circumstances dramatically. It really shows the power of consistent, positive suggestion.
And you mentioned the drowsy state earlier. That seems to be a recurring theme for many techniques.
It is. The power of the drowsy state is key. Just before sleep, just after waking, the conscious mind's critical filter is lowered. That makes the subconscious far more receptive to suggestion, and it helps bypass that internal conflict willpower can sometimes create.
The conflict between desire and imagination, like wanting to walk a plank but vividly imagining falling.
Exactly. The fearful imagination wins. Willpower often just creates more tension, but in that relaxed, drowsy state, you can impress the desired outcome directly without that internal fight. It's perfect for techniques like visualization.
Seeing the outcome clearly in your mind's eye, feeling it as if it's real now.
Precisely. The author apparently used it to visualize his audience as healed and inspired before speaking. Or that mental movie method for selling property: picture the check, feel the joy, the thankfulness, then just let go, fall asleep.
And the pre-med student visualizing his diploma every night and morning.
These aren't just daydreams. They're described as conscious impressions being actively planted in the subjective mind.
And there's another technique specifically for that sleepy state, the Baudouin technique.
Yes, that one condenses the desire into a really brief phrase. You repeat it over and over, almost like a lullaby in that drowsy state. The example was the young widow resolving a bitter family dispute.
By repeating, it is finished in divine order for 10 nights.
Until the conflict just resolved itself. It's using that sleep state to let a core idea sink past the conscious objections.
Makes sense. The sleeping technique itself seems similar, using that pre-sleep state to repeat a formula quietly, slowly, lovingly, for habits or insomnia.
Exactly. The subconscious is most open then.
And the feeling component comes back again with the thank you technique. This one's interesting.
Yes, approaching your desire not by begging or pleading, but with gratitude and thanksgiving as if it's already happened, cultivating the feeling of thankfulness for the desired outcome.
Like the young mother repeating, "Thank you, Father, for my wealth."
Until thankfulness became her dominant feeling and her financial situation apparently improved dramatically, the idea is that a thankful heart attracts blessings. It's a different energetic state.
So you feel grateful before you receive it to help bring it about. Fascinating. What about more direct methods? The affirmative method.
This is about making definite, specific, positive affirmations, but with the understanding that by doing so, you are literally rearranging negative patterns in your subconscious. You're aligning your conscious thought with the life principle, which is seen as inherently positive, always seeking health and harmony.
Like the author's prayer for his sister's healing.
Yes, calmly affirming perfect health, harmony, peace, until, according to the source, her X-ray came back negative. It's a powerful example of focusing on the desired state.
So less about fighting the negative, more about assertively building the positive pattern.
Largely, yes, though there's also the argumentative method, which is described as a form of spiritual reasoning. You actively convince yourself or the person you're praying for that sickness is rooted in negative thought patterns and that the subconscious, which built the body, knows perfectly well how to heal it. It's like making a logical case to the subjective mind.
And the absolute method. That sounded a bit different.
It is. It's more passive compared in the source to something like modern ultrasound therapy. The practitioner silently contemplates divine qualities, love, intelligence, harmony, while just thinking of the patient's name. This act of contemplation is said to generate spiritual waves of harmony and healing that the patient's subconscious picks up on and responds to.
Like tuning into a healing frequency. Okay. And finally, the decree method.
This involves recognizing the inherent power behind your word, stemming from that infinite intelligence within you. You state what you want as a decree, just declare it without struggle or force, but with the conviction that it is so. The example of the young woman decreeing the unwanted suitor out of her life.
I release him unto God. I am free, and he is free.
And he apparently disappeared immediately. It illustrates that sense of confident command.
Okay, wow. So we have this whole toolkit, these different techniques for communicating with the subconscious. How do these principles apply to the big areas of life we all care about? Let's start with healing. The claims here are significant.
They really are. The source material basically posits that the subconscious mind possesses a miraculous curative force. The life principle within you naturally wants health. It's chronic negative thought that gets in the way, interferes. So by conveying the idea of perfect health through relaxation, affirmations, visualization, you can remove that interference and allow the natural healing process to take over.
He includes personal stories, right? Overcoming a sarcoma, skin malignancy, using simple prayer and affirmation.
Yes, and there's the story of the minister healing lung cancer. The consistent theme, really, is that changing your mind by flooding it with positive, healthy affirmations fundamentally changes your body. The idea is that physical conditions are downstream from your dominant mental states.
That's a challenging concept for many, I imagine, especially with serious illness. What about wealth and prosperity? Financial worries are so common.
Well, according to the source, financial lack doesn't stem primarily from external circumstances, but from failing to convince your subconscious mind of abundance. Wealth is presented as an internal conviction, a state of mind first.
So the technique involves repeating things like wealth, success, but with feeling. The feeling of having wealth is what attracts it.
That's the mechanism described, yes. And conversely, constantly speaking or thinking about, there's not enough shortage, I can't afford this, is literally sending instructions to your subconscious to create scarcity.
So you have to catch yourself doing that.
Absolutely. The advice is to replace those thoughts immediately. Affirm prosperity instead. And importantly, avoid jealousy or criticism of wealthy people, because that also programs your own mind for lack. Rejoice in others' prosperity. Your subconscious isn't just reacting to the outside. It's seen as the source of the ideas that can generate wealth.
That's a major shift, seeing wealth as an internal state first. What about success in a broader sense, beyond just money?
True success, according to the book, isn't just about career achievement. It's success in the whole enterprise of living, finding peace, joy, happiness. The path involves 1, finding what you love to do.
Praying for guidance if you're unsure.
2, specializing, becoming excellent at it, seeking to serve the world. And 3, ensuring your desire benefits humanity. He calls this the path of complete circuit. ensuring blessings flow back to you.
Peace of mind seems foundational to all of that.
It's presented as essential, the story of Todd, the boy who turned his grades around by changing his attitude and using visualization.
Going from failing to getting A's.
It's a great example of applying this early on, changing the internal belief about himself, I'm stupid, directly changed the external result. And the executive technique of just repeating success with faith until you feel that conviction, believing you were born to succeed, it taps into the same core idea.
Guidance and problem solving. We all need that sometimes.
Fine.
How does the subconscious fit in here?
The core idea is pretty empowering. The subconscious mind already knows the answers to your questions. It holds the solution within the problem itself.
So how do you access it?
The technique involves quieting the conscious mind, focusing not on how difficult the problem is, but on the solution. Imagine or feel the relief of having the answer, and then just release it. Let it go, ideally by falling asleep. The answer might come later, maybe as an intuition, a hunch, a sudden insight.
Like those famous historical examples mentioned, Stradunitz and the benzene ring dream.
Exactly. Or Tesla visualizing his inventions fully formed, Banting discovering insulin after instructing his subconscious before sleep. Even the simpler example of finding a lost ring after getting the intuitive nudge, asked Robert.
Now,
The secret, the source suggests, is operating from a place of knowing the answer already exists subjectively within you. Delays happen when we consciously dwell on how hard it is or how long it might take. The subconscious apparently already has the blueprint.
okay, let's talk human relations. These can be tricky. How does our internal state affect our interactions?
Fundamentally, how you habitually think, feel, and act towards others tends to boomerang back to you. Those negative thoughts, resentment, criticism, ill will towards others, they're described as poisons that primarily harm your own peace of mind.
So the master key is judge not.
Simple but profound, isn't it? Avoid criticizing, avoid trying to remake others. Focus entirely on changing yourself. And don't let others' negativity drag you down.
Don't take on their stuff.
Exactly. Identify with your own aim, peace, health, fulfillment. The principle of return good for evil is recommended not just ethically, but pragmatically. It protects your internal state. Love in this context means understanding, goodwill, respecting the divinity in others, remembering everyone wants to feel loved and important.
Like the actress who hated her audience.
Yes, and overcame it by praying for them, sending them love. It changed the whole dynamic.
What about dealing with genuinely difficult people?
The source views that kind of behavior as, well, a form of psychological sickness or poor conditioning. Reacting negatively just means you're internalizing their poison. The advice: be firm but kind. Refuse to be manipulated or appeased. Don't let anyone pull you off your center, away from your goal of inner peace.
Maintain your own state regardless.
Precisely. And maybe the most critical piece in human relations, and arguably everywhere else too, is forgiveness.
It comes up again and again. Essential for mental peace and health.
Absolutely. Resentment, holding grudges, these are literally described as causes of illness. The life principle itself is always forgiving, Cuts heal, infections clear. We need to cooperate by forgiving others, and just as importantly, forgiving ourselves. True self-forgiveness often follows forgiving others.
And the technique for that.
Relax. Consciously affirm complete and free forgiveness for the offender. Release them mentally, spiritually. Genuinely wish them health, happiness, peace, all good things. Repeat this whenever the negative thought comes up. Override it with peace be unto you.
And the test.
The acid test is being able to remember the incident without feeling the sting, the hurt. Like remembering a minor cut from long ago. You know it happened, but there's no pain now.
That's a very clear standard. Okay, what about habits and fear? They feel so deeply ingrained for many people.
They are indeed subconscious functions. But the crucial point Murphy makes is that since you created them through habitual thinking, you can absolutely change them by installing new positive patterns. Fear, especially, is highlighted as a major enemy blocking success, health, good relationships.
So breaking habits involves similar techniques again. Relaxation, the drowsy state.
Yes, leveraging that receptive state. Visualize the desired outcome vividly, freedom from the habit. Or imagine loved ones congratulating you. Or use a repetitive positive phrase like a lullaby, maybe sobriety and peace of mind are mine now, repeated with feeling. An intense desire to change is apparently 51% of the healing you have to really want it more than the habit.
And overcoming fear, that Emerson quote is mentioned. Do the thing you are afraid to do.
It's fundamental. Exam anxiety, for instance, comes from focusing on failure. Shift the focus to success using visualization. For specific fears, like fear of water, the approach is layered. First, intellectually understand it. Water is passive. Then, speak to it authoritatively. I am going to master you. Then, take practical steps alongside the mental work. Take swimming lessons. Visualize yourself swimming confidently. It's mental programming plus courageous action.
Distinguishing between normal fear, the kind that protects you,
Right, stops you stepping off a cliff.
and abnormal fear, the destructive kind that stops you living.
Exactly, that abnormal fear needs to be addressed. And finally, the source touches on staying youthful and spirited. The reassuring idea here is that the subconscious mind itself doesn't actually age.
So age isn't just a biological clock ticking down.
Not solely in this context, no. Spiritual qualities, patience, kindness, goodwill, peace, love, these are timeless. They don't deteriorate. The message is really powerful. Avoid letting society's beliefs about age limits define you. See age as potentially a beginning, a time for new growth, new contributions. If you simply believe it and expect it, your subconscious will work to align with that conviction.
Wow. We have covered a huge amount of ground here.
Yeah.
From that foundational idea of the mind's two levels, the conscious and subconscious, and the absolute power of belief, through a whole toolkit of specific techniques, autosuggestion, visualization, affirmations, the drowsy state.
Forgiveness, decree.
Right. And then seeing how these principles are applied across pretty much every major area of life. Healing wealth, success, finding guidance, improving relationships, breaking habits, conquering fear, even how we view aging.
The overarching message is incredibly consistent, isn't it? There is this immense, powerful, miracle-working force within you, your subconscious mind. And it's not passive. It's constantly working, constantly responding to the thoughts, and crucially, the feelings you habitually impress upon it.
And that gives you, the listener, incredible agency. You're not just subject to external circumstances. You are continuously planting the seeds of your future with your conscious thinking, your habitual thoughts. By consciously choosing positive, constructive thoughts and consistently applying these techniques,
You are actively shaping your destiny, cultivating health, attracting wealth, fostering happiness, creating harmonious relationships. It puts the reins firmly back in your hands.
consistency seems key, though. It's portrayed as crucial, especially using those highly receptive periods just before sleep and immediately upon waking to consciously plant the seeds you want to grow.
Absolutely. It's not a one-shot deal, but a continuous process of mental cultivation.
So, for you listening right now, maybe just take a moment with all this. Which of these techniques really resonated? Which one felt most accessible or relevant to you right now? Which area of your life, maybe health, a financial goal, a tricky relationship, a habit you want to change, feels like the right place to start experimenting with these principles?
Yeah, and considering that really striking idea that your subconscious future is already being laid out right now by your current habitual thinking, if you could choose just one thought, one current idea to consistently and purposefully plant starting today, what would it be? What thought, if cultivated, would create a fundamentally different tomorrow for you?
What small step could you take right now, even just mentally, to begin cultivating that specific mental garden?